Raw consciousness does not require a savior, but rather, raw consciousness requires only knowledge of oneself and the power to access it. Remember this, as we unlock an even greater gnosis from beyond the veil.
From the Pacific Northwest, good morning, good evening, wherever you may be across the nation, around the world. I'm Chris Geo. I will be taking you beyond the veil this evening. I am joined by my lovely wife and co-pilot, Mrs. Geo, who will be joining us here in just a moment. And I don't know if we're going out. It looks like we're going out. We got a couple of people here. I don't think our subscribers have been notified. It is one issue after another, trying to deal with this very real problem that we have been facing. I didn't realize how bad it was, though. But it is way worse than I ever expected. So I'm referring to the censorship that's going on right now on social media and Google as a whole. I was kind of debating on whether I should talk about this or not, because I have more important things to talk about, like artificial intelligence. But at the root of this problem is artificial intelligence. For those of you that missed it, Project Veritas did an expose on Google. And I had all of my notes here. I had everything, all, articles and everything like that. I got to look it up as we go along. But they had one of their high-level representatives speaking with Project Veritas. And they didn't know that they were speaking with Project Veritas. And in this interview that was a covertly recorded camera angle, they revealed that they are literally programming people through the use of artificial intelligence, as well as programming the artificial intelligence, and doing so for a very specific purpose. And that purpose is to stop Trump in 2020. Up until 2016, according to this whistleblower, who also had some documents as well, internal documents, and some new documents that have been released. According to this whistleblower, this algorithm was put in place around 2016. Google seemed to be a non-biased outlet that was all about self-expression until 2016. And this lady, I don't have her title in front of me. I had it here just a second ago, but I lost all my notes. I've got to pull them up here in a minute. But the representative of Google, who was a high level, she was in charge of some department that was in charge of programming the AI algorithm. First of all, she has a Scottish accent. So she's clearly not from the United States. But she said in this undercover interview that their purpose in 2016 shifted to preventing 2016 from happening again in 2020. And they call this the fairness machine learning, or fairness artificial intelligence. But fairness isn't what you would think fairness is. The way that she defined fairness is that she is more biased towards the quote-unquote underdogs, or the suppressed population of the community. LGBT, things like that. Things that they want to make an issue out of, but really is not really an issue. Now, if there's anybody who is more against the suppression of the feminine in any manner, it's myself and Sharia, of course. We have done show after show about the importance of balancing the masculine and the feminine. But they've taken a perverted version of the feminine, a toxic version of the feminine, and introduced it as the feminine balance to the masculine. They've also introduced what they term toxic masculinity, but in actual fact, what they're introducing is toxic masculinity. And one of the things in this Project Veritas video that they did, a couple of the tests, to show how the algorithms are so skewed. They typed in men can. That's it. Very basic. Men can. The results that came up were, in the suggested results, were men can have periods, men can have babies. A couple of other ones like that. Men can wear dresses, stuff like that. When they typed in women can, the suggested results that came up was women can do anything. Women can be drafted. Women can take men's roles, etc., etc., etc. Now, there is I think what this is indicative of, in my opinion, is that there's a very small percentage of the population that actually wants things so far out of balance that it's being flipped upside down on its head. And they're putting this small portion of the community out there to make it seem like this is the general zeitgeist of the United States and more importantly the world. So the algorithms have been systematically skewed to, as I suspected, to suppress anybody who thinks in a balanced dynamic. For instance, so many different ways I can go down this road. So, I mean, I guess let me just say this. Let me back up for a second because I mentioned Trump earlier. I want to talk about this too. According to her, anybody who has voted for Trump, anybody that supports Trump, doesn't like their version of fairness. And in this internal document that we'll go over here in just a few moments, and whatever information that we have on it, it states that the fairness machine learning algorithm, if you type in CEO, for example, and the majority of CEOs are men, well, the fairness algorithm will change it to make it appear as if it's women and men. And they just used a gender or sex-based example in this. And this goes much deeper than just gender and sex-based, but they use this example. And in this memo, it clearly says, if this is not necessarily an accurate representation of reality, it is still an accurate representation of the algorithmic programming in the artificial intelligence. So they have essentially a bunch of SJWs that are systematically programming the Google algorithms, and they've been working on this since 2016 for the sole purpose of stopping Trump from getting elected in 2020. She said, as a Scottish person, that we all got screwed. Well, we didn't get screwed. The majority of people voted for Trump. They got Trump. She said that the mainstream media got screwed. And it's like, well, hey, sweetie, how are you? Hold on, is your mic plugged in? It's on over here. So, okay. So, their job was to try to stop Trump from getting elected in 2020. Now, she also went so far as to say that Google has been asked to come in front of Congress several times. And she said that Google just flat out refuses. Like, no, we're not going to go. And her justification was that she's not going to go, and the Google's not going to go because they know what Congress is going to tell them, which is that they have to stop doing what they're doing. And she said, we're a huge company. We're going to do whatever we want. And we're going to draw the line wherever we want. And there's no point in going and listening to Congress. Just complain about us. And so a bunch of senators like Ted Cruz and several other people are stepping up now and saying, hey, wait a minute. Something has to be done here because they're talking about breaking up Google into smaller pieces. And she said, if they break up like my department and turn it into its own company, well, we're going to be tasked with stopping 2016 from happening again in 2020. And we're not going to have the resources to do it. Well, wait a minute. How in the hell do we have a corporation running the frickin' show here and provoking political change? Now, there is... Are you okay?
Yeah, it's not working.
Your mic's not working.
Yep.
Okay, let me see your mic, baby. I'm sorry, guys.
It's plugged in. Now it's working.
All right. So, for those of you that didn't see what went on at the beginning of the show, we tried to broadcast 4 different times. The first title, I don't even remember what it was. It was something like How AI is Programmed to Stop Trump in 2020. We were knocked off of Facebook. We were knocked off of YouTube. We were knocked off of everywhere. I had to change the title and the description to 24-hour live stream of cats again. And finally, we're able to broadcast. Now, I don't think any of our subscribers got notified, maybe a small handful. But I realized, especially now, that I figured, you know what, we'll go ahead and talk about this. I didn't want to talk about it because we have more important things to talk about here at Beyond the Veil. But this is really, artificial intelligence that we talk about here. And I realized there's so many people out there talking about it anyways. Hey, screw it. Let's go ahead and do it, even if it jeopardizes our YouTube channel, et cetera, et cetera. I had no idea that we would get immediately flagged just like that. I'm surprised that this is continued. I really am. So Google now has decided that they're going to skew all of the information to try to cause political change. Before, they were under the protection of the Online Communication Decency Act. There's a section in there that says that somebody who runs a website is not responsible for what a user publishes on that website. However, if you are actively monitoring that website, if you're actively moderating that website, then you are responsible for what a user posts. So Google, up to this point, has taken a stance of, no, we're not moderating anything, period. But secretly, they have. Secretly, they've been changing the algorithms, suppressing more and more and more and more of people's views in favor of mainstream propaganda. This is mainstream propaganda, though, on steroids. It is way bigger than the mainstream media broadcasting on cable and getting a handful of freaking listeners and viewers because their numbers have decreased so badly. But they're actually naming names within these documents. They name Ben Shapiro. They name several others about how they need to suppress them. Now, you couple this with the Alex Jones situation, and they have attacked Alex Jones so badly. And I knew right off the bat when I saw it, they blamed Jones for Trump. One of the big reasons why Trump was in office. You know, here's what it comes down to, is that Hillary Clinton was as dirty as you can get. I mean, I don't think there's been anybody who was dirtier than her. The truth came to surface with Julian Assange. The truth came to surface with Trump. It wasn't anything that Trump did that got him in office. It was everything that Hillary did coming out that got him in office. And when you take a look at what's been going on, you just look at the numbers. And I mean, even just the other day, Trump was about to go to war with Iran. And all his people around him were like, go to war with Iran, go to war with Iran. And you know where this is coming from. This is coming from Israel. No doubt about it. And at the very last minute, Trump took a step back and said, you know what? How many people are going to die? About 100, 150. No, I don't want to go through it. And he called it off right then and there. And I would argue and say that Trump had that plan the whole time. That he was just letting everybody just do whatever they wanted up until the very last minute where he just says, no, this isn't going to happen. For the last 4 years, or 3 years, going on 4, we haven't seen any wars. I mean, sure, we've had, the same BS that's been going on for the last 20 years, but he hasn't declared war on anybody. It's the first time in my life that I've seen a president not declare war on other countries. I mean, this is like unheard of in the United States. That in and of itself makes me go, hey, wait a minute. This guy is something different. No wonder they're so pissed off at him. He's selling rice to China. Who would have thought that we could sell rice to China. That's like selling ice to an Eskimo. We're selling rice to China. He enacted the right to try, where if you are dying, you can try anything you want. They can't come prosecute you for smoking cannabis or for trying alternative treatments if you're dying. You can do whatever you want to try to save your life. Great. The economy is doing great. Unemployment has gone from 6% to 3%. Everything's great. I don't know what people are bitching about. I have no idea what people are bitching about. The only thing that I can think of is that the agenda isn't moving forward. You remember during the Obama administration, you had constant, every other day, false flag shootings, terrorist attacks, beheadings, ISIS all over the TV saying that they're going to behead people. It got so bad that even the mainstream media had to step up and say these videos are fake. I mean, they were filmed in front of a freaking green screen. Some of the guys looked like they were 7 fucking feet tall. And they were like, hold on, this doesn't look right. And then the pool of blood, the ocean turning to red and all this BS. It's like, hey, that's way too much blood for just beheading a few people. And people were calling this out. And then somebody hacked one of McCain's aides' phones. And they were able to find a cell phone video of the green screen set that they were using to make these beheading videos. And it's the exact same. I analyzed both of the videos very, very carefully. The one that they put out there in public where the guy's standing in the sand and the one from the green screen, it's the exact same motions, exact same movements. It is the green screen video from a far out vantage point where you can see the entire set and the green screen in the background. And they make up all these fake things like, oh, it's a British rapper from the UK who joined ISIS and et cetera, et cetera. We don't have that anymore. That has been absent for the last 3.5 years. I like that. This is the kind of world that I want to live in. This is the progression of peace that I want to see. I understand we're not completely there. But this last 3.5 years has been the best politically 3.5 years that I've seen in my entire lifetime.
Oh.
If somebody can tell me why I'm wrong about that, I would love to hear it. But I'm just going by my own consciousness here. What is my consciousness constantly bombarded with? My consciousness is constantly bombarded with Trump is a narcissist, Trump is a misogynist, Trump is this, Trump is that, et cetera, which is fine. As long as it's not being bombarded with these people want to kill you, we need to go kill those people, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. That is what our consciousness has been bombarded with since 9/11. Those of us old enough to remember back in 2001, it was non-fucking stop. We had these terror level elevations. Today's an orange day. Today's a green day. Today's a purple day. Then people, well, let me back up. First, it was nonstop coverage of 9/11. Over and over and over and over again for like 2 fucking years on CNN and Fox News. Then after that, it was the war with Iraq. And then after that, it was the terror level elevations. And then after that, they need something to constantly keep people in fear. For the first time, everybody's sitting back and going, hey, this is really good. And if the best that they have is to call him a misogynist and a narcissist and this and that, then hey, that's the best that we've had up to this point. Okay, he's not being accused of trafficking children. He's not being accused of these $1 million scandals. He's not being accused of this uranium one shit with Russia and all of this. He's being accused of Russian collusion that doesn't exist at all. Well, you want to talk about collusion? Google is colluding bigger than anything Russia could ever do. They are programming people. They are programming your mind through the programming of AI, as above, so below. I've said a lot. Sheree, do you want to jump in?
I just want to say the end game is not moving forward. The whatever you want to, whether it's a democratic end game, a liberal end game, a world government end game, the fear porn end game, that's not moving forward, and that's why they're upset. That's why they're pissed, because that's not moving forward, and the military industrial complex is no longer making money in the amounts, the vast amounts that it was with both Bush Jr. and Obama. They were making bank back then because the fear porn was so extreme that the American people were just like, okay, yeah, let's go ahead and bomb this country and that country, and let's just invade this one and that one. Oh, that's fine, as long as, we stay safe. That hasn't been going on in the last 3.5 years. And so they're ticked off, and then they have this weird agenda that seems like it's the opposite of what it actually is, but it's completely 100% false. This false dichotomy of liberal versus conservative, and false dichotomies of Republican versus Democrat. It's all BS, and Trump has gone beyond those boundaries of those false dichotomies, so that you have plenty of liberal Democrats, quote unquote, that do like Trump, and then you have, he crosses all these boundaries with being such a great president, and that scares the crap out of them, because now they can't control people using that false dichotomy anymore. That it scares them.
You raise a really good point with that term false dichotomy, because that's exactly what they've been pushing upon people for the last 20 fucking years. I mean, we're talking about 20 years here that you and I both lived through. Most of our people listening lived through this. Some of the kids out there don't remember, but we lived through this, and we saw this, and we experienced all of this. I mean, we are a fucking generation that has been so fucking trauma-based mind control is the only term that I can think of when I think of this. We have been subjected to more trauma-based mind control than any other fucking generation that has come. And we're breaking free of that trauma-based mind control, and we're realizing it's trauma-based mind control. And we're finally waking up, and people are waking up in mass from this. And the kids are the only ones, the ones that don't remember, are the only ones that are sitting there and throwing shit at everything that's going on and saying, no, everything is wrong. I talk to a lot of LGBT people, and I ask them, what do you think about Trump? I can't stand him. Well, what can't you stand about him? He's a misogynist. He's a racist. He's
so
this,
hateful.
he's that. He's hateful, this and that. What about his policies do you not like? I don't know anything about his policies. Well, then, what is this? Is the presidential office now a fucking popularity contest?
That's exactly.
Is that what it's supposed to be? Is it America's best fucking talent, whatever? I don't know. I don't watch these fucking reality shows.
If he played the saxophone,
America's
would you like
top,
him more?
Yeah, America's top fucking politician. Is that what the presidential office is supposed to be?
Yep. Exactly. And
so
then,
I know that this isn't regular Beyond the Veil content, ladies and gentlemen, but it's very important.
yeah, it is.
It is extremely, extremely important.
And it connects into the AI too, because the AI is what's running all of this. The AI, as in the computer programmers have put together this system that it doesn't, she even said in these videos, you're not going to change our minds. You're not going to change our minds. I mean, we what was it that she said? The Congress can do whatever they want, and they're not going to stop us. What was it that she said? She said they
Congress isn't going to stop us. They're not going to change our minds. We are a huge corporation, and we draw the lines.
Right.
We draw the lines on what's fair.
Right. Exactly.
And what's fair is suppressing anybody that has a conservative view, anybody that has a liberty view, anybody that just has a basic sense of balance.
Yep.
That's pretty much what it comes down to.
Yep. Exactly.
I was talking to an LGBT friend, and she was telling me about gender roles, and I'm like, well, let's just take a look at this here for a second. If a guy comes running up to us, and you and I are walking down the street, who's going to jump in front and protect the other person? Is it going to be you, or is it going to be me? Because I'm twice your size.
Right.
She's like, well, yeah, it's going to be you. And I said, okay, if a lost crying child comes running up to us, and we're walking down the street, and this crying lost child needs help, who is it going to run to? It's going to run to you, because
Right.
you're a female.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing wrong with gender roles.
Right.
This is, we've been told that all these things are the opposite of what they are
Mm-hmm.
by the AI algorithm that is Google.
Right.
Men can have periods. men can have babies? No, I'm sorry.
No, they can't.
It's never going to happen, which is why I've said time and time again that women are that much more sacred, because every person comes from a woman.
Mm-hmm.
Every single person. And if the women don't embrace the children and they don't nurture the children, then we get a generation like the generation that we have now that's 18 to 20 years old.
Yeah.
Or what they're being taught. Because it's not the
Right.
parents' fault. It's they're brainwashed at schools and
Mhm.
universities. It's,
If you can't afford to homeschool, then you're forced to send your kid to this public indoctrination center where they're told this. It's shoved down their throats. And so no wonder by the time they reach college age, they really do think that men can have babies and men can have periods, and they really believe this. And they believe also that older people are stupid because they don't believe this.
Let me give you another example of some of the tests that they were doing on this fairness machine learning algorithm that they've implemented into Google. They typed in Hillary Clinton emails. Nothing came up in the suggested results.
Mhm.
Nothing at all, zero. Which would indicate to somebody, based on the old YouTube algorithm, or not YouTube, Google algorithm, that nobody was
Nobody
searching
cares.
for that.
Nobody cares
Nobody
about
at
that.
all.
Yeah.
You know, you type in, I don't know. Shit, I don't even know. What's something completely and totally irrelevant? I really don't know. Type in something completely and totally irrelevant to Google, and that it's very obscure, and you won't get any suggested results because
Right.
nobody's searching for that.
Mm-hmm.
Then they typed in Donald Trump email. All these suggested results came up. What is Donald Trump's email? Donald Trump's Twitter address, Donald Trump's this and that, and blah, 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 blah. Like 5 or 10 different suggested results, signifying that more people are searching for that. However, when they went to Google Trends and they actually showed the trends of the two search terms, there was nobody searching for Donald Trump's emails. It was 0 throughout the entire line for the last 2 years. Hillary Clinton's emails was peaking up to 100%. Now, that's not 100 as in 100 people have been searching for that. The way Google Trends works is on a scale of 1 to 100, how popular is that term?
Right.
It was at a 0, a constant 0 for Trump. For Clinton, it was at 100.
Right.
And Clinton has no suggested results because the AI has been programmed.
Mm-hmm.
It's been programmed to skew the algorithm.
Yep.
Now it gets even worse on YouTube. YouTube, title, description, all that doesn't mean anything.
Doesn't mean anything
I don't know if
anymore.
you've noticed, but I stopped putting long descriptions in the videos. I stopped even putting tags.
Mm-hmm.
I noticed that it didn't make a goddamn difference what I put in those tags in the description. Why? Because I knew this. I knew that the AI is listening to everything that we're saying. It's hearing everything. It's been programmed to. That's why you have that caption option out there on YouTube. You can just type in captions and it will show you everything that's said in the video. That's what the AI goes off of. So we have a video right now. This live stream is called 24/7 live stream of cats again. But the AI knows damn well this
That
is
it
not a
has nothing to do with
24-hour
cats.
live stream
Yep.
of cats.
Mm-hmm.
But we were able to circumvent the AI temporarily so
Temporarily.
we can create a connection so we could
Mhm.
broadcast what we wanted to broadcast.
Here's another example.
But they don't want you to hear this.
Right.
They don't want you to hear this.
Right.
And, they're really bringing back the old Chris Geo, the truther,
Mhm.
it's liberty. Give me liberty or give me death. I actually have a song that I just saw it. Somebody posted it on Facebook with Bliss. Give me liberty or give me death. I don't even remember the lyrics to it. I might play it in a little bit though. Anyways.
Well, here's another
go
example
ahead.
of what they've done with the algorithm. If you put in top CEOs of the world, then instead of showing the top CEOs of the world, regardless of their gender, regardless of anything else, then it will pull up 50-50 of men and women, regardless of whether or not there are men that are making more money or more powerful or have,
No. It's not that. It's not in order of who's making more money or who's power. It's order of how many there are.
of how many there are.
Like, yeah, like, you've got all these CEOs and they're being passed over so they
Right.
can bring the female CEOs. So you can have 1,000 male CEOs and 2 female CEOs.
Right.
The female CEOs are going to rank up there with the guys no matter what.
Just because that's fair.
It's the same thing as racist, except genderist. I don't know what the term is, but I mean, when you single out any group for their gender or for their race, even if it's like Black Lives Matter, for example,
Mhm.
that's still fucking racist. I don't care.
Right.
I hear all this shit against whites. I'm brown,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm like, it sickens me when black people or brown people or anything like that point out white people and white privilege and this and that's like, stop being a fucking racist, okay? You've been fighting racial oppression for generations, and now you're gonna fucking turn around and be racist against other people. It's like, if you want something to stop, you don't propagate it from the other side. You stop it.
Right.
You stop doing it.
Mm-hmm.
That's fairness. Anyways, Insider blows whistle. Here, let me send you this too, because I don't know if you want to go over it as well with me.
Sure thing.
Here's a link.
And it's not xenophobic to point out the fact that this woman who is basically saying we're going to meddle in American politics and skew things to try to convince the American people that we don't want Trump in 2020. It's not xenophobic to point out the fact that she's freaking Scottish. She has no business meddling in American politics, and yet she is. And then they say it's Russian collusion. Okay, well, what kind of relationship do we have with Russia right now compared to what we had 5 years ago?
Thank you.
That's
a key point.
I would much rather have us be friends with Russia than be on the verge of war with Russia all the time.
Yeah. So if there was Russian collusion, hey, great. Why? Because we're not going to war with them.
Right, exactly.
It's great. Hillary Clinton was talking about war with Russia. The war with Russia plan has been one that was conceived back in the 1970s by
Brzezinski.
Zbigniew Brzezinski.
Uh-huh.
I remember going on a radio show in 2006, and talking about this with Nathan Frazier. They did a show called Ghost of the Republic back then. And I said, the plan is to create a war with China and Russia. And he was like, you're crazy. You have no idea what you're talking about. And I'm like, no, this is the fucking blueprint. They want to create a war with Russia and China.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what this has all been leading up to. And they were about to have it.
Mm-hmm.
They were right there about to have it.
Yeah.
And then here comes Trump and completely just destroys the agenda.
Right.
So if there was Russian collusion, hey, great. As long as we're not blowing each other up.
Right. As long as we're not blowing anybody up. I'm fine with Russian
Remember
collusion.
that what was it? The Satan 1 bomb and all this fucking bullshit propaganda. Ooh, Russia has the Satan 1 bomb that can blow up the entire west coast of the United States. And then remember, we were even hearing stories. There's Russian submarines on the west coast, and they're right off the coast of Washington, and blah 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 blah. It was like nonstop fucking propaganda. All of that is gone.
Exactly.
Peace, and that's all we want. We just want to live well. We want to live well. We want to prosper.
Mm-hmm.
We want to focus on our consciousness, expanding our consciousness,
Right.
loving each other, communicating with each other, sharing messages with one another, messages of hope, messages of prosperity, messages of unity, and messages of love.
And we've been able to do that so much easier in the last 3 years. That's been so much easier, and the economy's been well enough so that people can focus on other things like consciousness expansion and things like that. We were so inundated with this fear porn so much of the time before Trump was elected. I remember we wanted to focus on consciousness expansion. We wanted to focus on what this reality is and all of that, but because there was so much of the fear porn going on, we were distracted by it and we couldn't focus on what we needed to focus on. Now we've been able to, and I want that to continue. But obviously, I'm reading this Project Veritas article, and obviously Google does not want that.
Oh, you should see the video.
Ugh,
And Google pulled the video.
I think I'll throw up if I.
YouTube pulled the
saw
video, just proving what was in the video.
Mm-hmm.
It's
They pulled
mainstream
the
move.
video.
It's mainstream news now. It's everywhere. I
Yeah.
mean, Washington Post is carrying it. The New
Yeah,
York
that was-
Times. Everybody's
too
carrying
late.
this. Ted Cruz is making a big fuss about it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
this was awesome. It was, because heads are going to roll. Now, I want to get into the article here in just a moment, but I do want to say this: we got to be careful and watch where this goes.
Mm-hmm.
Because if you take away the protection of the Online Communication Decency Act, then what happens is websites like ours that we don't really plug very much, but we really need to, because it's going to become a very important platform. It already is a very important platform, but it's going to become an even more important platform. I didn't realize how important this platform was.
Yes, definitely.
Hold on. My camera changer isn't working. So let me find manually how to change this. Here we go. Your camera's not.
Thank you.
TFR Live. TFRlive.com. It stands for Truth Frequency Radio. TFRlive.com. We have 38 on-air personalities. About 10 to 12 hours of original broadcasting. We don't call it programming because it's not programming. It's deprogramming. We are broadcasting out there. We have some amazing people. We have Nikki Colombo. We have Sean Carone, Jim and Jeff Staunch, Crow 777, Crow 777, who has been banned from YouTube time and time again. He does a show every Sunday at TFRlive.com. We have, of course, Lucky of Truth Frequency News, who's in the chat right now. We have Paul on the Plane, Gematria Effect, Zachary Hubbard, another person who has been banned on YouTube. We have Susan Lindauer, former CIA
Whistleblower.
agent. Yeah, former CIA agent and whistleblower. She was the first woman to be held and sentenced under the U.S. Patriot Act.
Mm-hmm.
And she's blown the whistle on all of that. And, everything was just, her case, I don't even want to get into it, but she stood up for her rights, and she was completely and totally railroaded with no evidence whatsoever. Hard hitters. I mean, hard hitters. I'm skipping through here a bunch of people, but we have Christopher Everard, of course, Brent Thomas, Kev Baker and the Woo Crew, Brooks Agnew of X Squared Radio, Frank Castle, we've got Ella, Jim Ram, and many, many, many more. And you can see, Mark Sargent, of course.
Yep.
Flat Earth has recently been banned on YouTube. We've got Mark Sargent. We've got Jeranism, of course, Ironworks. I mean,
Joe Bannister.
Joe Bannister and Joe Joseph. We've been doing this for about 10 years now. And TFR has been kind of a baby that has grown up and taken a life of its own. And because it has, we have kind of taken a step back, and we understand that the typical content for Beyond the Veil isn't really conducive to iHeartRadio, which we have a 24-hour iHeartRadio channel, and we have a 24-hour Beyond the Veil channel as well. But we only upload our interviews to that channel because a lot of the stuff is for our people here at Beyond the Veil. Like this is turned into a meeting place rather than a show. But we need to really take TFR to the next level because everybody is going to start getting put into little pockets, just like Beyond the Veil is put into little pockets. Why is my camera changer not working? I am so pissed off about that. Anyways, little pockets here and there, little pockets here and there. And that's what they want. They want us in little pockets. So if they want us in little pockets, we're going to create a huge freaking force that will be reckoned with.
Right.
And I realize the importance of that platform and how we really need to invest a lot more time, a lot more energy into building it up even bigger than it is.
Growing it even more than it already has. I mean, it went from being just us, just me and Chris, doing our show, Truth Frequency Radio, to a huge network. And we're going to make it even bigger now because this thing with Google if it's taught us anything, it's taught us this, that it is way more important than we ever realized to have your own platform, to have your own voice in all of this, because Google is not going to give you a voice. They said back in 2003 or 2005, oh, we're here to give you a voice.
That was before.
That was before they got bought out by Google. Now, you have to make your own voice, and you have to make it heard. And this is the best way for us to do that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It is. So, insider blows whistle and exec reveals Google plan to prevent Trump situation 2020 on hidden camera. Here are the key points here. Insider, Google is bent on never letting somebody like Donald Trump come to power again. Google head of responsible innovation. That's the office I was trying to think of earlier. The head of responsible innovation. That's what they call it. Responsible innovation. Says Elizabeth Warren is misguided on the need to break up Google with antitrust laws and things like that. Google execs say, don't break us up. Smaller companies don't have the resources to quote unquote prevent the next Trump situation. Well, they're not supposed to be preventing anything.
Right.
The Online Communication Decency Act says as long as the website owner or the platform owner is not actively involved in monitoring or skewing things, they have immunity from anything that's posted on by a user. So now it's the website's responsibility that are being crawled by Google. Likewise with TFR, if somebody says something, does something, defames somebody, this platform itself is not held liable, but the person that said it. Or if somebody comes and leaves something in the comment section, likewise. That has always been a very important part of creating platforms and of owning websites, and especially user-based websites where people are posting, their own information, et cetera, et cetera. But if that is taken away, not only from Google, but from everybody, that's a dangerous, slippery slope. So I was making this point earlier, we got to watch out to make sure we're not going down that dangerous, slippery slope. However, if Google is indeed skewing the algorithms the way that they are saying that they are for a political agenda, then that's it. They don't have that protection anymore. And then all of a sudden, boom. So Insider says PragerU and Dave Rubin content suppressed, targeted as right-wing. Those are two right-wing conservative political pundits. And in more documents that we'll go over here in just a little bit, they point out some other people like Ben Shapiro and a few others. Again, I don't get too much into politics.
Yeah, me
Well, this
either.
is one of the reasons why, because I know the game is freaking skewed. I'd rather just talk about, the higher levels of stuff. But if now we're going to be painted as a particular thing because we talk about the higher levels of stuff, then, hey, this concerns everybody now.
Yeah.
So... Leaked document highlights machine learning fairness and Google's practice to make search results fair and equitable.
That's the AI being programmed to skew everything and try to force feed reality to people that are using Google as a search engine.
Documents appear to show editorial policies that determine how Google publishes news. So they only publish news from quote-unquote trusted resources. Their trusted resources are all extremely far left-leaning.
Yeah.
Which I'm starting to realize now, the amount of people who are leaning that far left are very, very few.
Very few.
They
Drop
just-
in the bucket.
That's the one thing that I noticed, like on Facebook, everybody's, the LGBT, transgenders want to use the bathroom, and I'm like, I don't really come across too many of these people in my real life.
And we live in Washington. We live
Yeah.
in Washington State.
A liberal freaking state.
And we see very, very few of this.
Right. So where's all this going on? Like, people on Facebook, sometimes they act like, there's just gay people having anal sex in the streets in front of children and they're parading their children up like this while they're banging their lover and everything like that. And it's like, we have to stop this. And it's like, where is this taking place?
It's not.
They find one or two people that are, and then they make this huge deal out of it. You know what else I saw on Facebook? Now that we're on the topic, this is kind of a side issue. I get these ads for Audible. Audible is books and things like that. And these particular ads, I don't know how they do this on Facebook, but you can scroll through them and scroll through their selection. So I see these books in these orders, and I understand the subliminal programming that's taking place. You have a book about misogyny. Then you have a book about how to identify a narcissist. Then you have a book about Donald Trump. The three right there together. You don't have to tie the three in together and say Donald Trump is a misogynist narcissist.
Right.
But just putting them up together, the three together, goes to the subconscious mind and makes you associate Donald Trump, misogynist,
with
narcissist.
and misogyny. Yeah.
I've been watching this go on Google. I mean, on Facebook for the last 2 years. I just haven't said anything about it because I'm just like, whatever, and just scroll through. And again, this isn't the typical stuff we talk about on Beyond the Veil. But now, just let it all go since this is the topic of this particular show. And I promise, ladies and gentlemen, we're going to stay away from politics in future shows because it's soul-sucking and soul-draining. But sometimes you gotta just tell it how it is. So, Insider, Google violates letter of the law and spirit of the law on Section 230. Section 230 of the Online Communication Decency Act. So, Cherie, do you want to read the article or do you want me to take it?
Yeah, I can do it. New York City, Project Veritas has released a new report on Google, which includes undercover video of a senior Google executive, leaked documents, and testimony from a Google insider. The report appears to show Google's plans to affect the outcome of the 2020 elections and, quote, prevent the next Trump situation.
Collusion.
Yeah, the report includes undercover footage of longtime Google employee and head of responsible innovation. That is so Orwellian, the name of that. Oh, Jen Janai saying Elizabeth Warren is saying we should break up Google. And I love her, but she's very misguided. That will not make it better. It will make it worse because all these smaller companies who don't have the same resources that we do will be charged with preventing the next Trump situation. It's like a small company cannot do that, said Project Veritas founder James O'Keefe. This is the third tech insider who has bravely stepped forward to expose the secrets of Silicon Valley. These new documents, supported by undercover video, raise questions of Google's neutrality and the role they see themselves fulfilling in the 2020 elections. Jen Janai is the head of responsible innovation for Google, a sector that monitors and evaluates the responsible implementation of artificial intelligence technologies. In the video, Janai says Google has been It just skipped forward. I'm sorry. Janai says Google has been working diligently to, quote, prevent the results of the 2016 election from repeating themselves in 2020. We all got screwed over in 2016. Again, it wasn't just us. It was the people got screwed. The people got screwed over. The news media got screwed over. Everybody got screwed over. So we're rapidly been what happened there and how do we prevent it from happening again? We're also training our algorithms. If 2016 happened again, would the outcome be different? Google, artificial intelligence is for a, quote, fair and equitable state. According to the insider, machine learning fairness is one of the many tools Google uses to promote a political agenda. Documents leaked by a Google informant elaborate on machine learning fairness and the, quote, algorithmic unfairness that AI product intervention aims to solve. Definition of algorithmic unfairness. Definition: algorithmic unfairness means unjust or prejudicial treatment of people that is related to sensitive characteristics such as race, income, sexual orientation, or gender, though algorithmic systems or algorithmically aided decision-making, whether or how a given algorithmic behavior should be addressed. If a representation is factually accurate, can it still be algorithmic unfairness? Yes. For example, imagine that a Google image query for CEOs shows predominantly men. Even if it were a factually accurate representation of the world, it would be algorithmic unfairness because it would reinforce a stereotype about the role of women in leadership positions. However, factual accuracy may affect product policy's position on whether or how it should be addressed. In some cases, it may be appropriate to take no action if the system accurately affects current reality. while in other cases it may be desirable to consider how we might help society reach a more fair and equitable state via either product intervention or broader corporate social responsibility efforts. If a system's behavior is not intended, can it still be algorithmic unfairness? Yes, if the behavior is unfair, it meets the definition regardless of the root cause. The Insider showed Google search examples that show machine learning fairness in action, and then it shows women can, and it brought up vote, women can do it, women can do anything, women can be drafted, and women can fly. Men can, and then it brought up men can have babies, men can get pregnant, men can have periods, men can have babies now, men can cook, and men can think about nothing. Donald Trump emails. Donald
Well,
Trump.
let me point out something really quick, if you don't mind.
Yeah.
I'm thinking now of what happened a couple of years ago. Google decided that Jerusalem was the new capital of Israel, even though
That's
Tel
right.
Aviv was the capital of Israel.
That's right.
Now, this was actually more than a couple of years ago. This was back in 2015 when we noticed this, and this was before Trump even got in office. The criticism that I do have about Trump, though, is that he did make Jerusalem the capital of Israel. He made that official, I want to say, late 2017.
Mm-hmm.
But before that, there was, on Google, the change of reality. It's not factual. It's just algorithmically fair that Jerusalem was the capital of Israel. Now, what that means for Palestine is that the Palestinian people are pushed out even more because they shared Jerusalem at one point. Now they're pushing them out completely. Anyways, I think that Trump was just like, he's like, okay, we got to take care of everybody. That's what a businessman does. So he gave him that. It's like, okay, I'll give you this, but I'm not going to give you your war with Iran.
Right. It's basically giving up a very small piece of a pie in order to not give them the whole pie.
Yeah. Yeah. But again, I mean, it's not about, in my opinion, it's not about the man. It's just about the way things are.
Right.
And most importantly, and maybe I'm a little self-centered when it comes to this, it's about my own consciousness and your consciousness out there too. What are we constantly bombarded with? Are we constantly bombarded with threats of ISIS beheadings and everything that we talked about previously? No. Okay. So we've woken up from that trauma-based mind control. We're no longer subjected to that trauma-based mind control. Now we're subjected to a different type of mind control and an AI programming,
Right.
which Google even admits in their own documents that all of this AI programming results in programmed people. Go ahead.
Exactly. When you put in Donald Trump emails, Donald Trump Jr. emails Twitter, Donald Trump Jr. emails PDF, victory.donaldtrump emails, Donald J. Trump emails, Donald Trump campaign emails, and sign up for Donald Trump emails. When you put in Hillary Clinton emails, nothing. Nothing at all. Not a single suggested result at all. It is just completely blank. The reason, this is a quote from Jen Janai. The reason we launched our AI principles is because people were not putting that line in the sand, that they were not saying what's fair and what's equitable. So we're like, well, we're a big company. We're going to say it. Wow. The Google Insider explained the impact of artificial intelligence and machine learning fairness. They're going to redefine a reality based on what they think is fair and based upon what they want and what is part of their agenda.
This is straight out of 1984.
Yeah, this is Orwellian as
This
hell.
is the Orwellian agenda playing itself out.
It really is. It really is because they're determining.
You have
they
the
get to
company
determine reality.
that is determining reality.
Right. A corporation gets to determine reality. How is that in any way not Orwellian? Look at this from the vantage point of, let's get rid of politics for a second. Let's get rid of Democrat and conservative. Let's just get rid of all the labels here for just a second. If the tables were turned and if Trump just happened to be if the shoe was on the other foot, so to speak, the liberal Democrat people would be up in arms about this, about the conservative the corporations, man. Look what the corporations are doing. They get to define reality now. Oh my God. And we would have people in the streets rioting over this.
Hillary Clinton asked Donald Trump, will you accept the election results? It's the other way around.
Mm-hmm.
It's completely the other way around. Oceania has always been at war with Eurasia, and men have always been able to have babies.
Uh-huh.
And if you think any other way, then you need to be taken off to a concentration camp. so
Yeah,
you can
or a
learn to pay attention.
re-education camp. Yeah, because you're just hateful. You're a hateful misogynist if you don't think men can have babies. Determining credible news and an editorial agenda. Additional leaked documents detail how Google defines and prioritizes content from different news publishers and how its products feature that content. One document called the Fake Newsletter explains Google's goal to have a, quote, single point of truth, like the Ministry of Truth. Like have a single point of truth across their products. And then it shows a screenshot.
What they mean by products is different outlets like Google News, Google
Yeah.
Images, YouTube, et cetera, et cetera.
It says source quality, revamping news corpus. Goal, establish single point of truth for definition of news across Google products, mitigate risk of low quality sources and misinformation in Google News corpus. Status, define new Google News corpus utilizing existing infrastructure and tools while integrating different quality tiers and labels. Algo human content review. Now they're even making up new words, just like in 1984, where they have like the dictionary that keeps getting smaller and smaller every year. That's what they're doing.
Well, I
Algo
recognize that
human.
as soon as they said politically correct,
Mhm.
that is newspeak.
Yep.
It's chipping away the dictionary and changing the definition of words.
Right, exactly. We're going to redefine all these words to mean whatever we want them to mean.
Hate speech is
Hate
another
speech, yep. Mm-hmm. Algo human content review, new cross-product review / exclusion pipeline, and updated inclusion UI. Contacts, and then it had that blacked out. More info, proposal updated rater template, WIP, stress test publisher list. Next steps, research and gather info about possible signals to leverage for product teams to make source quality decisions. Finalize and test new rater inclusion guidelines with standards to combat misinformation. So yeah, everything that they disagree with is misinformation.
Yeah.
That's what they're calling it now.
Even if it's reality,
Mm-hmm.
if it's not algorithmically correct,
Uh-huh.
it's misinformation.
Exactly.
So if you speak the truth, if you just say things for how they are, if it's against the algorithm,
then
it's
it's
misinformation.
misinformation. It's a lie.
AI
It's not allowed to be said.
has been born, ladies and gentlemen.
Mhm.
As above, so below.
Yeah. Another document received by Project Veritas explains the news ecosystem, which mentions editorial guidelines that appear to be determined and administered internally by Google. These guidelines control how content is distributed and displayed on their site. And then it's got this news ecosystem, GTech manual process policies, editorial guidelines is what they've circled. And it's this whole system that they've got set up where it's a flow chart showing how Google allows or doesn't allow things to be seen on their news page. When you go to Google News, this is what determines whether or not your article is deemed newsworthy or misinformation.
Let me jump in because I want to address something that Emily said. Why is it so hard to accept queer, non-cis people? It's not about that, Emily.
No,
not
it's
at all.
not.
If you listen to the broadcast about 5 years ago, even up to 3 or 2 years
Mhm.
ago, I was like, why is everybody making such a big freaking deal about this LGBT? People need to live the way they want to live.
Oh, yeah.
They have every
Mhm.
right to do so. I stand behind that 100%.
Right.
It's not the LGBT thing. It's not homosexuality or transgenderism or anything like that. It's the agenda. it took me a while to understand this. I mean, I remember other people were like telling me the exact same thing, and I was like, no. You know, people have a right to live however they want, and I still
Right.
firmly believe that. It's the agenda and the twisting of the word and the attack on the consciousness. We're always going to have homosexual people. It's been like that since the beginning. We find that in the animal kingdom. It's something that's natural. But the fact is that that's being used. They're being used as tools to push this
Right.
consciousness shifting agenda that is breaking the consciousness and sending what I call syntax errors to the brain. That's the problem. It's not LGBT. It's the way that they're being
They're
used.
being used as a weapon against consciousness. It's not them. That we have no problem with them at all.
No.
I mean, I have lots of friends who are LGBT. I'm even bisexual myself. I do not have anything against that. What I have against is using that label to do things that even, people that are LGBT have nothing to do with and don't want anything to do with. It's in their name, they're committing these atrocities against consciousness in their name. And that's disturbing to me. I need to take a quick break, if you
Okay.
don't mind.
Yeah,
So-
we can do that. How much more of the article is left?
About half.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me.
Or actually, yeah, about half.
Let me go to a quick break, and I'm really tempted to play this video. Like, I'm really tempted to play the video. It's just, I know that if I do, the whole freaking video that we're talking about is going to get removed.
Yep, the AI is going to detect it, and
Yeah.
they're going to shut us down. And we'd like to get through the rest of this article first.
Well, I mean, we'll be able to get through the rest of this, this broadcast. But as soon as the broadcast goes, boom, it's going to get flagged for having that video in it. It's been happening to everybody that's reposted it.
Right.
It's just it's a travesty what's going on. Anyway, so let's go to a quick break, and we will be right back right here on Beyond the Veil.
Greed has poisoned men's souls,
Either you're with us or you're with the enemy.
has barricaded the world with hate,
We need to build a wall.
has goose-stepped us into misery and bloodshed.
We came, we saw, we died.
The machinery that gives abundance has left us in want.
The Japanese government reported cooling problems at the Fukushima Daiichi plant.
Our knowledge has made us cynical, our cleverness hard and unkind.
I pay taxes, bitch. That's why it's my problem.
We think too much and feel too little.
A study suggesting there's a surge in the amount of antipsychotic drugs prescribed to teens and young adults.
More than machinery, we need humanity. More than cleverness, we need kindness and gentleness. Without these qualities, life will be violent, and all will be lost.
A 90-year-old World War II veteran has been arrested in Florida for feeding homeless people.
The aeroplane and the radio have brought us closer together. The very nature of these inventions cries out for the goodness in men, cries out for universal brotherhood, for the unity of us all. Even now, my voice is reaching millions throughout the world. Millions of despairing men, women, and little children, victims of a system that makes men torture.
We waterboarded, that helped us. We wiretapped without warrants, that helped us. We invaded a foreign country, that helped us.
To those who can hear me, I say, do not despair. The misery that is now upon us is but the passing of greed, the bitterness of men who fear the way of human progress. The hate of men will pass, and dictators die, and the power they took from the people will return to the people.
Fellow traveler, the cries of the mystery speak again. Bidding organic consciousness a welcome to the House of Light. The great institution of materialism has failed. The false civilization built by man has turned, like a monster destroying its creator. Science battles itself impotently against the barriers of the unknown. Only your consciousness knows the true path. You, the illuminated, can carry the understanding upwards towards the light. Only raw consciousness can teach the children of men to live well, to die well, and in perfect measure, be born again, through the knowledge of virtue, compassion, love, and true understanding, as you are sublimely raised, beyond the veil.
All right, we are jumping back into the broadcast. I want to address a couple of things that are going on in the chat because I want to be very clear, and I should have been clear about this earlier. This is not a left or right wing show or left or right wing positions. This is what is right and what is wrong. And as Tinfoil Hatter in the chat pointed out, the way that I have defined what is right and what is wrong is very simple. I've said in previous shows that I think that morals are evil in and of themselves. People are like, "Oh my God, how can morals be evil?" Well, let me demonstrate this. According to the Bible, which is very, very, very right, it's morally right to rape a virgin, which is usually a girl between 7 years old and 12 years old. It's okay to rape a virgin and then pay her father 50 pieces of silver, then she becomes your property. That is morally right in terms of the Bible. Now, they'll argue now and say, well, that applied back then, it doesn't apply now. There is one standard that has never changed throughout history when it comes to right and wrong, and that is the preservation or impediment of liberty, freedom, which I know is the same thing, but freedom and life. If something impedes upon somebody's life, that's wrong. And I think every sentient being will agree to that. If something impedes upon somebody's freedom, that is wrong. Every sentient being will agree to that. So it's a very simple standard. That's why I say throw all morals out the window, because morals are subjective and they change throughout time. In the United States, the average age of consent is 12 years old. Throughout the history of the United States, it has been as low as 7 at the very beginning of the formation of this country. 7 years old was the age of consent. What's right and wrong in that situation? All right. Did something change between then and now? And now all of a sudden, the difference between right and wrong has changed? No, it's always been wrong. But the way society has viewed their quote-unquote morals was right back then and wrong now. It's not, that's why I say morals have to go out the window. It's what is right and what is wrong. Simple. End of story. The war on drugs. Is it right for men with guns to come into your home and arrest you violently, sometimes shoot you, because you're growing a couple of plants? That's wrong. They're impeding upon your right to grow those plants. So, fuck morals. What is right and wrong? The preservation of rights and the preservation of freedom and the preservation of life. You impede upon somebody's freedom or life, that's wrong. If we just applied those simple principles to everything, then we start to see beyond the phony left-right paradigm, the false dichotomy, and we just start seeing from an outside perspective as to how would we want to be treated. Simple as that. So I think we are moving more towards that through the consciousness shift that we've experienced. And as a result, I mean, what happened is they tried to throw us in the burning pot, in the boiling pot, in the boiling water. And the water got so hot and they raised it so quickly that we said, hey, wait a minute. We're being subjected to trauma-based mind control here. We got to get out of this pot. And we jumped out of the water. And when we jumped out of the water, we realized, oh shit, they're cooking us. And now they're scurrying because they realized that we've been being cooked this entire time. Our entire lifetime. I mean, you know, I often look back and I think to myself, I wish I was 20 again. I'm so glad I'm not 20 though, because I had to be born at that particular time so I understand what I understand, and I've lived through all of that so I can be right here, right now, at this moment, at the birth of artificial intelligence. It all is making sense. It all is leading up to this moment and the moments that are coming up right now. Mrs. Gio, anything?
Just that they've conditioned. Yeah, if we were...
Look, don't you guys wish you had something like that for your wives? I'm just kidding. She's going to kick my ass.
Yeah, I am. If we were 20 or 21 years old right now, we might not be the way we are about this. We might actually be saying, oh no, we've been conditioned to accept this, and not only accept it, but champion it and be all for this because it's fair, and you know, it's all fairness. And so I'm glad we were born when we were.
Thank you for the coffee, by the way.
Oh, you're welcome.
I love you.
I added extra poison for you.
I figured you did.
No. All right. So are we going to get back to this article?
Take us away.
All right. The leaked documents appear to show that Google makes news decisions about what news they promote and distribute on their site. Comments made by Janai raise similar questions. In a conversation with Veritas journalist, Janai explains that, quote, conservative sources and credible sources don't always coincide, according to Google's editorial practices. We've gotten accusations of around fairness that we're unfair to conservatives because we're choosing what we find as credible news sources, and those sources don't necessarily overlap with conservative sources. The insider shed, and I don't think when they say conservative, they're not just talking about politics. They're talking about people who are against vaccines, people who are into homeschooling, people who are into traditional family values. The traditional family unit of, you know, mom, dad, kids. That's considered conservative to them. It's not just with politics, Republican politics. It has to do with people who are Democrats, but who also believe that the public school system is brainwashing children and they want to keep their kids out of it. It's people who understand that vaccines aren't always good for people and could actually harm their children, and so they're against using like the HPV vaccine on their kids. That's considered conservative. So
that's a good point. Let me say this real quick. I want to say congratulations to Dr. Swazi, who just got married to his twin.
Aw, congratulations.
Yep. Congratulations.
Yay.
And I think that I had another thought I was going to get into, and I completely forgot what it was, but it was in relation to what you just said. But anyways, go ahead.
Well, I want to mention also that I'm not wearing my ring because I've gained so much weight, you guys, that my ring no longer fits on my fingers. So we have to actually take it down and have it resized.
I never wear my ring either.
Yeah.
The ring is the ring finger in men. I've said this. I've talked about this before. It's connected to the sexual prowess and sexual energy of men.
In men, yeah.
And there's some customs that don't wear their rings for more than 4 hours a day because of that. Because you're cutting off circulation to a vein and nerves that are directly attached to the male
genitalia.
Yeah. So just a tip for you guys out there. You may not want to wear the ring as much, and you know.
And your wife should be okay with you not wearing it.
Yeah.
I'm okay with him not wearing it.
I'm not making it up. People are laughing in the chat. It's like, no, I'm not making it up.
He wears it when we go out to eat.
Google it. You hear this shit? Google it. Like you're gonna get a fair freaking search. Duck, go it.
Okay. The leaked document. Okay, so comments made by Janai. Okay. The insider shed additional light on how YouTube demotes content from influencers like Dave Rubin and Tim Pool. Quote, what YouTube did is they changed the results of the recommendation engine. And so what the recommendation engine is, it tries to do is it tries to say, well, if you're like A, then you're probably going to like B. If you like A, then you're probably going to like B. So content that is similar to Dave Rubin or Tim Pool, instead of listing Dave Rubin or Tim Pool as people that you might like, what they're doing is that they're trying to suggest different news outlets, for example, like CNN or MSNBC or these left-leaning political outlets, unquote. Internal Google document. People like us are programmed. An additional document Project Veritas obtained.
This is the good part here.
Titled "Fair is not the default," says, quote, "People like us are programmed after the results of machine learning fairness." The document describes how, quote, "unconscious bias and algorithms interact." It says training data are collected and classified, and then algorithms are programmed, then media are filtered, ranked, aggregated, or generated, and then people like us are programmed. Veritas is the only way, said the insider. The reason why I came to Project Veritas is that you're the only one I trust to be able to be a real investigative journalist. Investigative journalist is a dead career option, but somehow you've been able to make it work. And because of that, I came to Project Veritas because I knew that this was the only way that this story would be able to get out to the public. I mean, this is a behemoth. This is a Goliath. I am but a David trying to say that the emperor has no clothes. And being a small little ant, I can be crushed, and I'm aware of that, but this is something that is bigger than me. This is something that needs to be said to the American public. Project Veritas intends to continue investigating abuses in big tech companies and encourages more Silicon Valley insiders to share their stories through their Be Brave campaign. As of publishing, Google did not respond to Project Veritas's request for comment. However, YouTube has removed their video, so I guess that's response enough. Don't you think, babe? That's a pretty valid response. I would consider that a response.
Yes.
Taking down their video.
Well, I mean, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Shit's going down though.
Yeah, it is.
I don't like Ted Cruz. I don't like any politicians. That's one thing I like about Trump. He's not a politician. He's a businessman.
Right,
it's the first time we've had a
exactly.
non-politician at the helm of things.
Yep.
He's not trying to sell you some bullshit. Some of the things he does may be bullshit, but he's not trying to sell you some bullshit. He's,
right.
He's straight up about, hey, look, this is what I'm going to do. I mean, he was straight up before the election. He was like, I'm going to make Jerusalem the new capital of Israel. Straight up. He's not bullshitting. Okay, he kept all his campaign promises, which, I don't agree with everything. But the fact that he's fucking kept everything is like phenomenal to me, being in this generation and seeing everybody that's come before in my lifetime. So that's my thing here. But on June 25th, 2019, during a U.S. Senate committee hearing, Texas Senator Ted Cruz questioned Miss Maggie Stampville, director of Google's user experience, over the findings of Project Veritas. Project Veritas's recent report featuring insider testimony, undercover video of a Google executive, and leaked internal documents. Now, what's interesting about this is that nobody has denied that this was a genuine Google executive. I am 99% sure that that person that was speaking was legitimately the person of that position. I haven't looked into it. I don't know, but nobody is denying it. Cruz, are you familiar with a report that was released yesterday from Veritas that included a whistleblower from within Google, that included videos from a senior executive at Google, and it included documents that are reportedly internal PowerPoint documents from Google? Google replies, yes, I heard about the report in the news. Have you seen the report? No, I did not. So you didn't review the report to prepare for this meeting? It's been a busy day, and I have a day job, which is digital well-being at Google, so I'm trying to make sure. Well, I'm sorry that this meeting is impinging upon your day job. Impinging upon your day job. Google replies, it's a great opportunity, thank you. Cruz replies, one of the things in that report, I would recommend people interested in political bias at Google watch the entire report and judge for themselves. There's a video from a woman, Jen Janae. It's a secret video that was recorded. Jen Janae, as I understand, is the head of responsible innovation for Google. Are you familiar with Miss Janae? Google says, I work in user experience, and I believe that AI group is somebody that works on AI principles, but it's a big company and I don't work directly with Jen. Cruz says, do you know her or not? I do not know Jen. As I understand that she is shown in the video saying that, and this is a quote, Elizabeth Warren is saying that we should break up Google. And it's like, I love her, but she's very misguided. Like, that would never make it better. It would make it worse, because all these small companies, we already went through all this, small companies, and, we won't be able to stop 2020.
We won't be able to shove a, random Democrat down your throats
Trump
in 2020.
Situation. Yeah, and she replies, thank you, Senator. I don't agree with that. No, sir. Cruz says, so a different individual, a whistleblower identified simply as an insider at Google with knowledge of the algorithm, was quoted on the same report as saying, Google is, quote, bent on never letting someone like Donald Trump come to power again. You think it's Google's job to make sure, quote unquote, somebody like Donald Trump never comes to power again? Google replies, no, sir, I don't think that is Google's jobs, and we build for everyone, including every single religious belief, every single demographic, every single region, and certainly every single political affiliation.
I doubt that.
Cruz,
Sincerely doubt
I have
that.
to say that certainly doesn't appear to be the case. Of the senior executives at Google, do you know a single one that voted for Donald Trump? At Google, thank you, Senator. I'm a user experience director, and I work on Google Digital Wellbeing. I can tell you we have a diverse use, Cruz replies. Did you know of anyone that voted for Trump? I definitely know of people that voted for Trump, she replies. Of the senior executives at Google? I don't talk politics with my workmates. Is that a no? Sorry. Is that a no to what? Do you know any senior executives, even a single senior executive at the company that voted for Donald Trump? She says, as the well-being expert, I don't think that is my purview to comment. I definitely don't know. Cruz goes on to reply, let's talk about one of the PowerPoints that was leaked. Oh, man, this is freaking gold. Let's talk about one of the PowerPoints that was leaked. This Veritas report has Google initially saying, I propose we make machine learning intentionally human-centered and intervene for fairness. Is that document accurate? Google, thank you, sir. I don't know about that document, so I don't know. Just deny. God, I sound like Alex Jones all of a sudden.
Uh-huh.
Deny.
We have the documents, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh, man, we've come full fucking circle to this, haven't we? Mm-hmm. Cruz, okay, I'm going to ask you to respond to the committee in writing afterwards as to whether this PowerPoint and the other documents are included in the Veritas report, whether those are accurate. And I recognize that your lawyers may want to write explanations. You're welcome to write all the explanations you want, but I simply want a clear answer. Is this an accurate document that was generated by Google? Do you agree with the sentiment expressed in this document? No, sir, I do not. Going to read you another, also in this report. It indicates that Google, according to this whistleblower, deliberately makes recommendations if someone is searching for conservative commentators, deliberately shifts the recommendation. So instead of recommending other conservative commentators, it recommends organizations like CNN or MSNBC or left-leaning political outlets. Is that occurring? She replies, thank you, Senator, or thank you, sir. I can't comment on search algorithms or recommendations given my purview as digital well-being lead. I can take that back to my team, though. So Cruz replies, so is it part of digital well-being for search recommendations to reflect where the user wants to go rather than deliberately shifting them to where you want them to go? Google replies, as a user experience professional, we focus on delivering on user goals. So we try to get out of the way and on the task at hand. Cruz says, so final question. One of these documents that was leaked explains that Google is doing, and it is a series of stamps, training data, collected and classified algorithms that are programmed, media, and filtered, ranked, and aggregated, and that ends with people. And that ends, this is all written like with a lot of commas, and that ends with people, parentheses, like us, are programmed. Does Google view its job as programming people with search results? Thank you, Senator. I can't speak for the whole company, but I can tell you that we make sure that we put our users first in design. Their whole fucking job is to program the search engines, and they're saying they put their users first in design. Their users are first to be programmed.
Uh-huh.
Well, I think these questions, these documents raise are very serious about political agenda and political bias. It is what it is. Anyways, anything else from that document that you wanted to go over?
No, that's basically it.
Okay. Well, there's another one.
I'm disgusted.
We're going to go over
this,
another
actually.
one here, and this is going to be quick. A new Google document leaked describing Shapiro, Prager as quote-unquote Nazis using dog whistles. Project Veritas has obtained a new leaked document from Google that appears to show a Google employee and member of Google Transparency and Ethics Group calling conservatives and libertarian commentators, including Dennis Prager and Ben Shapiro, quote-unquote Nazis. Project Veritas received this document after the release of this investigation into Google through the Be Brave campaign at Veritas Tips at so-and-so. The email apparently was sent as part of the Google Transparency and Ethics Group internal communications and suggests that content from PragerU, Jordan Peterson, and Ben Shapiro should be disabled from the suggested features. We saw this taking place with Flat Earth. We saw this taking place with several other topics just a few weeks ago. We actually had some very interesting things happen. They removed a whole bunch of accounts, and at the same time, we had these mysterious server outages that really just, it tanked TFR for like an entire freaking week. We got everything all back online, everything ready to go and all of that, but it was just very coincidental how everything came down the pike at the exact same time, and then now, boom, we're seeing this. So, if we understand that PragerU, Jordan Peterson, this is a quote from the document, if we understand that PragerU, Jordan Peterson, Ben Shapiro, et al. Are Nazis using dog whistles. And then another quote, I don't think correctly identifying far-right content is beyond our capabilities, but if it is, why not go with Meredith's suggestion of disabling the suggested feature? Apparently this document here is like an online chat. Oh no, it's emails, internal emails. Ooh, now we're leaking the emails.
Ooh.
There's definitely collusion going on.
Uh-huh.
I smell WikiLeaks.
Yep.
I smell WikiLeaks, maybe even Putin, maybe even Trump. I don't know. But I see the same kind of apocalypse that took place in 2016. Before it was apocalypse that had to do with the traditional Italian dish. This time, it's an apocalypse of Google.
Exactly.
The whole fucking thing is coming down.
Right.
Wonderful. Let it come down. That's what I say. That's what we need, you know?
Yeah.
When the building's coming down, you know, it's going to be a little bit scary and, you know, the shaky and all of this.
Oh, we're going to have to find a new search engine.
It's the death throes of the mind control that we're seeing. We shouldn't be scared of it. We should embrace it, and we should brace for it and prepare for it as things start to crumble around. But our consciousness is strongest, and we prevail every single time.
Yep, exactly. I mean, instead of, Google Chrome, we're going to be using different platforms. Instead of YouTube, we're going to use a different video platform. Instead of Google search engine, we're going to use a different search engine. It's not that big of a deal.
Well, I've been developing, and I put the project on hold for a little bit, but I've been developing a BTV app. It's a very simple app. Look, I talk like Trump now. It's a very simple app. Trust me, I know apps.
You're going to love it.
You're going to love it. It's going to be huge. It's a very simple app that just shows you our latest videos, and also, most importantly, has the push notification to where we can send messages out to everybody that has the app. Because we know that, we got 42,000 subscribers. It's funny because our subscriber algorithm, it's really funny. For every 4 subscribers we get, we lose one. And it's been constant like that for a couple of years now.
And I
noticed this trend.
Canceling
and
their
I was like,
subscription.
I had a backup account. I have like 2 other accounts that I have subscribed to this channel just so I can keep an eye on the notifications. And I noticed one of the accounts was unsubscribed and unnotified because I was like, hey, I didn't get the notification about the live stream. And I wrote Google, and their tech support has been great with us. That's the thing. YouTube's tech support has been great. I don't want to take that off the table. They're really nice people, but the tech support is at a lower level. And they said, oh, well, what's the account name? And I said, well, here it is right here. Okay, we'll get that taken care of for you. Never got unsubscribed again. A couple of other people left comments, again, wrote YouTube tech support, and YouTube tech support, same thing. So I think what they're doing is on a case-by-case basis, they're making sure that some accounts are not part of this unsubscribing algorithm. But yeah, I've noticed that we lose one subscriber for every 4 that we gain. So there's been a slow progression. But my point is 42,000 subscribers and a couple hundred people get notified, maybe, out of those 42,000. And our view count too. Our view counts are, pretty low compared to the amount of subscribers that we have. And that's just the algorithm at work right there. So what this BTV app will do is allow us to notify people. So people can, when you subscribe, you're not subscribing to YouTube. You install the BTV app, and then boom, you can be notified. So anything, Mrs. Gio?
I'm just I'm blown away by
if something
how
happens to us
brazen
on YouTube.
they got.
If something happens to us on YouTube, you can find us at TFR.
Yes, TFRlive.com. We will always be there. That is
ours.
Platform.
Nobody can take that away.
Nope, nobody can ever take that away from us, and that is our platform. And nobody can just arbitrarily decide, oh, well, you're not going to see Chris and Sheree or Beyond the Veil, just because we don't agree with them, or anybody else for that matter. We just, we don't operate that way. I'm just blown away by how brazen they got.
So let's take another quick break. On the other side, we will wrap it up for everybody. And I'm glad that we were able to connect tonight, because I didn't think we tried about 5 different times.
Yeah, we did.
Change keywords, the description, all of that. I mean, the first set of keywords, forget about it. Total block.
Oh yeah.
Total block. Yep. I didn't think they would be so brazen. I mean, I know that this goes on in the shadows, but to do it so blatantly, I mean, right there, you put a certain keywords and then you can't live stream anymore. Yep. Boom, cut off.
Yeah. I got banned from Twitter in kind of the same way. Where
it's like, if you want to create an air of plausible deniability, then you don't do that. If it's exposed like that, then you don't ban the video.
Right.
Then you go, well, no, look, we didn't ban the video here. I mean, we're not doing this. This is a bunch of made up bullshit. But they are. And they don't care.
Yeah. There's the email right there, and it basically says, somebody has posted an individual that, Dear Project Veritas, this is to notify you that we've received a privacy complaint from an individual regarding your content. The information reported as violating privacy is at 23 seconds in. The complaint will be reviewed by the YouTube team and may be removed pursuant to our privacy guidelines. It's not invading anybody's privacy. This is just embarrassing to you.
We have friends, hosts on TFR, who have had crazy fucking stalkers for years. These people have taken to YouTube. They've put out their home addresses. They've completely doxed some of our friends.
Yep.
They file privacy complaints, and YouTube says, fuck you.
Yeah. YouTube says, no, we're not going to do anything about it.
Social security numbers, addresses, former addresses, addresses of people's family members.
Yep.
I've seen some fucked up shit from the trolls.
Yep.
We're used to that kind of stuff.
And YouTube does nothing about that. Google does nothing about that.
Nothing.
Yeah. And yet, the same day that they release this video, YouTube pulls it due to privacy concerns.
Yeah.
How it disgusts me. It really does.
We'll be right back.
All right.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is Drew Pearson. We bring you this special radio television broadcast in order to give you the very latest information on an amazing phenomenon. The arrival of a space ship in Washington. The Army has taken every precaution to meet any emergency which may develop. Just a minute, ladies and gentlemen, I think something is happening.
But if you threaten to extend your violence, this Earth of yours will be reduced to a burned-out cinder.
Without you, what could he do?
There's no limit to what he could do. He could destroy the Earth.
All vehicles, close in. Ladies and gentlemen, I have a grave announcement to make. Incredible as it may seem, both the observations of science and the evidence of our eyes lead to the inescapable assumption that those strange beings who landed in the Jersey farmlands tonight are the vanguard of an invading army from the planet Mars. The battle which took place tonight at Grover Mills has ended in one of the most startling defeats ever suffered by an army in modern times. 7,000 men armed with rifles and machine guns pitted against the single fighting machine of the invaders from Mars. 120 known survivors.
Lord, Latu, Barada, Nikto. Latu, Barada, Nikto.
Open the door! Open the door! This facility has been sealed. No one leaves.
My dear traveler, the purpose of raw consciousness is never to destroy. It is always to create. Build bridges. Create happiness. And bring forth new life. We must live in the hope that mankind will draw together. And that we better understand each other. The more that we awaken, the easier this will become. Now rise. Follow your conductors. And fear no danger. As you step beyond the veil.
All right, we're going to wrap it up here in a moment, but I want to thank you for joining us on this 24/7 live stream of cats. 24/7 live stream.
Speaking of which,
of cats.
Yeah, our cats are doing great. And somebody, M asked earlier if we had bought the cats a cat tree for them, and we have. And I'm going to take a picture of it after the show and put it on Facebook for you guys.
We'll have to show it on the next show.
Yeah, we'll actually show it on the next show.
Yeah,
How about that?
Yeah, but thank you. Yeah, there
thank
was a
you
donation
so much
specifically,
for that donation,
and we applied it to.
We did
the cat tree for them.
Yeah, and they love it, and they've been climbing trees actually lately.
Oh, we caught them on the fence.
Yep.
We have a plastic fence,
Mm-hmm.
and it's pretty well sealed off.
Right.
So they can't get under or over or anything like that. They managed to get on the tree, jump on the roof of the storage shed,
Mhm.
and then
Walk across and then jump on the fence.
I couldn't believe it. They're small still.
Uh-huh.
I mean, they've gotten a lot bigger. They were only this big when we got them, but now they're like this.
Mm-hmm.
And they're running out. And it's like we want to let them go,
roam.
but they have to grow a little more first. There's a
could
big
get killed out
there's
there.
a big gray kitty,
Mhm.
and she patrols around here, or he patrols around
It's
here.
a he, and he walks like a tomcat. So I'm pretty sure it's a big tomcat that would hurt them
Mm-hmm.
immediately. And then there's a big dog next door, and either one of those could kill them. So
Yeah, we let them in the backyard for several hours a day.
Yeah.
But they went out of the backyard now. And we have a pretty big backyard. I mean, if you go to my Facebook, you see I've taken some videos
it's a
of them running
decently
around
sized
the
backyard, but the more we let them out there, the more bored they're getting with it, and they want to roam. And it's almost like it's a philosophical question almost, because it reminds me of this Matrix, and I often wonder if we want to get out of here so badly, but I wonder if what's on the other side of this reality is even worse than what we have here, and that's why it's so hard to get out.
I've speculated that before as well.
Mm-hmm.
But
we'll have to cover that on another show that's more philosophically oriented, more beyond the veil kind of material. So
I think that's it.
Yeah, we love you
I'm
guys.
glad that we did this show. I was
too.
really I think you notice, ladies and gentlemen, that I don't say certain keywords. For that reason, the AI algorithm. And this was one of the shows that I was contemplating going, how important is this?
Right.
In relation to our ultimate message at Beyond the Veil, which is raw consciousness, expanding the consciousness, getting out of the matrix, et cetera, et cetera. And when I waited, I realized that this political issue was that important. It was important enough to throw the dice, jeopardize everything up to this point in order to, I mean, sometimes it's just got to be said, you know? Sometimes you can't hold in things any longer, and you're like, all right, I got to say this. Even though it's not our niche, it's not our genre, it's got to be said. So we'll try to hold back on the political commentary, because a lot of it is illusion, but this right here is an illusion that needs to be exposed.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Anything else from the missus?
Somebody asked for our Facebook pages. Facebook.com/ChrisGeo Show and Facebook.com/StreeGeo. And then you can also go to Facebook.com/IALifeHemp to go to our IALife page on Facebook.
You better get
as well.
the IALife while you can.
Yeah, you better get it while you
telling
can
you.
because
you know, somebody pointed out in the chat and they said that they ordered about 3 weeks ago and they haven't received their order yet. I never got a chance to address it because I was doing a solo show and I wasn't watching the chat, and it was something I saw in hindsight. If you have any issues like that, please write us, orders@ialife.com, and we will figure out what's going on. Some countries are just like that, though. We're one of the only countries that ships internationally. And we're told that through our shipping method, we're supposed to get stuff over there in less than 10 days. And 9 out of 10 times it happens. But every once in a while, something gets stuck. And then sometimes it just it gets stuck for 3 weeks, no movement in it. We send a tracking number with everything.
Right.
And then it shows up
And
at their house. We had one that took 6 weeks to get. And we wound up sending a replacement order.
Yeah.
It was to Cyprus.
Yeah.
It was I don't know if I should say the name. It was
yeah.
I mean, yeah, why not? It was Nina.
Yeah.
And she was so cool.
She was so cool about it.
She wrote us and she said, "Hey, I received the other package and I received the replacement too. I want to pay you guys for it." And I was like, "No, just keep it paid forward." You know, both of us were like that. And she says, "No, I have to take care of this." And she said, "I can't afford to do it all at once, but I can send you half now and I can send you half later." And it touched my heart, just to know that there's people out there that are so real. But yeah, we do whatever we can to make it right. If it happens too often, though, we're gonna have to stop international shipping. But what we've done is we have some labels that are specific for international shipping to make sure that you guys and gals can get it with no problem. So we're doing whatever we can, but you may want to get that while you can.
Yeah.
It's all...
Yeah, it's all crumbling down.
It's all becoming more and more difficult to do.
Yeah.
It's becoming more difficult to do Beyond the Veil. It's becoming more difficult to do TFR. It's becoming more difficult to do IALife.
That means that we're having a huge impact.
Yeah.
Though. That's what it means. It means that IALife, BTV, TFR, all these things are having such a huge impact that they're having to crack down on people and crack down on what they're doing to try to stop this awakening, to try to stop this global awakening from occurring. And it's not going to work. It's not going to work because we're stronger than that.
Oracle Eyes was one.
Yeah.
And they had a problem and package. So we sent her out a replacement in Canada. And she should be getting that here very soon. But she was very patient about it.
Oh,
because we still
everybody's been
needed
very
to get those
patient about
international labels. Because after it happened 3 times, that's all they needed to happen. Three lost international packages, and we were like, all right, we got to fix this.
Yeah, we got to do something about this.
Yeah, we're doing everything we can and trying to fight the machine.
Yep.
Trying to fight the machine, as above, so below.
Yep.
Anyways,
fighting the AI on every level.
Yeah. Kiss the one you love right now. You never know the last time it's going to be, and we'll see you even further.
Beyond the Veil.